Hello, everyone. So this is Motivational Monday Live with your host, Aura Elena Martinez. And this week's topic, in honor of the fact that this week is Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow, and this is the month of love, this week's topic is love is the answer to everything. Love is the answer to everything. So before I even start, I want to talk to you about what led me to do Motivational Monday Live. If this is your first time watching this series and you're just now getting to know me better, I want to introduce myself as well. My name is Orlando Martinez, and I'm a self-discovery and empowerment coach, helping women gain total clarity in their purpose so that they can wake up to daily fulfillment and certainty. Now, purpose is not to be limited to just a calling, because I can tell you also from personal experience that you could still be living your calling and not be necessarily living your most purposeful life, because a purposeful life is so much more than just a calling. It's about you experiencing greater levels of health in every regards, mentally, emotionally, physically, right? It's you having this healthy relationship with yourself. It's you being so connected with yourself, right? Because that's part of it. That's part of it. That's part of you living your most purposeful life. And what motivated me to do Motivational Monday Live is the fact that Monday tends to be that day of the week that many tend to dread. Oh, Monday's the start of the week, and now I got to go back to work and this and this and that, right? And if that's how you're starting out your week, let me just tell you this, that is your indicator that something either within you or in your life has to change. That is a nudge. That is a poking. That is a sign. And so it is my intention with Motivational Monday Live for your Mondays to be that day of the week that you look forward to, because you know that you're going to be filled up mentally, emotionally, right? And don't let the name confuse you. Motivational Monday Live. This is so far from me motivating you. The intention is not to motivate you. I am not interested in motivating you. And the reason for that is because, like I explained in the very first episode, motivation is very fleeting, right? Motivation is very fleeting. With this, it is my sincere desire. Let me just say this. It is my sincere desire that this lifts your level of consciousness. And why is you lifting your level of consciousness so important? Because the more you lift your level of consciousness, the more you experience life differently, the more you see life clearly, the more you see yourself clearly, right? The more you're able to discern things, you're able to make better decisions. And also, it's my intention that everything that is shared here, you connect more and more with yourself. Hello, thank you for the likes, that you are develop a better, healthier relationship with yourself, that you get to empower yourself. And you're going to get to know a little bit more about me and my style and the work that I do along the way. And so, again, this week's topic is entitled Love is the Answer to Everything. I'm glad you love this topic. And I want to say this, the love that I am referring to is not the romantic love. It is not the romantic love. I know that when it's Valentine's Day, we think about romance and blah, 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 blah. That is not the love that I'm referring to. And for those who are thinking, and I'm about to say the following with so much love, by the way, I throw truth bombs, and if it's triggering, let it trigger you. That means there's something there to be worked on. There's something there that needs your attention. I want you to feel the love with which I am sharing all that I am sharing. For those who may be thinking that a romantic love will provide them with the security that they need, with the love that they need, the self-worth, the self-esteem, the self-acceptance that they're looking for, the fulfillment, you're in for a not good surprise. Let me just say that. And the reason why I say that is because someone outside of you is not the source of your security. It's not the source of your self-worth. It's not the source of your self-love. It's not the source of your accepting yourself. It's not the source of none of that. It's not. As a society, we have been conditioned that the security that we need is outside of us, that financial security is outside of us. No, it's not outside of you. It's within you, believe it or not. It first starts with you. That, oh, we need to find someone so we're not lonely and all this stuff. And what we don't realize is that all these things that we're hearing and that we are told, they form conditionings, they form programmings, that if we are not careful and we are not aware, we start then operating from what I like to call these layers. It's not really our true essence, but it's these layers. And another thing too, when the reason why you're seeking a romantic love is for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, the security, the self-worth, the self-love, the self-acceptance, you're looking for that love, you're looking for that acceptance. When you're making that romantic partner, when you're making the decision for a romantic partner from that place, you're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to make good decisions. You're going to be accepting breadcrumbs. Okay, and one example of breadcrumbs is, say, for example, if a woman or a man texts you and then they ghost you for a week and then they text again, that's breadcrumbs. You don't need to be ghosted. You don't need to be treated that way. You don't need breadcrumbs, okay? They may seem good and satisfying at the very beginning because you're hungry. Let me tell you something. Making choices out of hunger, it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing, okay? You're also not going to have discernment when you're in that situation of neediness, right? Of needing security, of needing love, of needing acceptance or whatever. You're not going to have that capacity to discern well. And what that means is to make good judgment. You're not going to have that ability. You will be making decisions based on those layers, meaning based on the lack of self-love, the lack of self-worth, all of that. You don't want to be making decisions from that place. This is going to lead you to you allowing people and situations that are not good for you, that don't belong in your life. Okay? This is how you find yourself in a relationship that doesn't serve you and that only feeds the low self-esteem, that feeds whatever limiting thoughts you may have about yourself. Okay? Now, I don't want to go off topic here, right? But this is why your relationship with yourself is so important. It is so important. When your relationship with yourself isn't solid and intact, you will not be able to not only attract, but allow a healthy, loving relationship. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to, first of all, the reason why you're not going to attract it is because if someone that feels good about themselves and that wants good for themselves and that has high self-esteem, they are not going to be attracted to someone with low self-esteem. Hands down. They're not. They're not. And another thing too that I didn't mention in the Spanish version that I will mention here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. You attract not what you want, but who you are. That's what you attract, who you are. And the reason why I also say that you won't allow it is because subconsciously a part of you is going to repel the good. When you do not feel worthy of a good, loving relationship, and that's going to lead me to what I was about to say, the kind of love that I'm referring to is not self-love either. That is not the kind of love that I am referring to in today's topic. But anyways, I have to say this because I don't know who needs to hear it. When you lack self-love, by default, you're not going to feel worthy of good. You're just not. And so subconsciously, you're going to repel it. If someone good comes to you in your life that is convenient, you're going to do something to mess it up. Something. Either leave them for someone else or, be unfaithful. That's the word that I was looking for. I was thinking about it in Spanish. But you see where I'm going at, that you're going to repel what's actually good. So the love that I'm referring to here is not self-love, even though self-love is one of the foundations to you living your most purposeful life, right? There's no way that you could enjoy greater levels of well-being, attract good, anything like that if you don't have a healthy dose of self-love. Just no way. Just no way. Because again, like I mentioned earlier, subconsciously, you're not going to feel worthy of your good. And that's going to make you repel the good things that are wanting to come into your life, okay? So the love that I'm referring to with today's topic is not a feeling. It is not a feeling. It is a state. That's right. It is a state. It is the state of love that I'm referring to. And you're going to see why I say that this is the answer to everything. And you're going to see how this is tied to self-discovery, empowerment, you living your most purposeful life, and enjoying greater levels of well-being. Because this is the key. You living in a state of love is going to be the key to empowering yourself, the key to living your most purposeful life, the key. It's going to, hands down, it's going to be the key. All right. So what do I mean with love as a state? I'm going to break this down for you so you can see where I'm going with this and what I mean. And again, you're going to see how how love is the answer to everything. So I'm going to read you the definition of the word state. State is a condition that someone or something is in at a specific time. State is a condition. That's what I meant to say. A state is a condition that someone or something is in at a specific time. Love has several definitions. I'm going to read 4 of them. 1, a great interest and pleasure in something. A great interest and pleasure in something. The second one, like or enjoy very much. Like or enjoy very much. The third one, feel deep affection for someone. Feel deep affection for someone. And then the fourth one is an intense feeling of deep affection. All right, an intense feeling of deep affection. Now let's look at the word affection, because I find very interesting that the definition for love, 2 times the word affection was there, okay? And you're going to see how I'm going to bring this all together, okay? So keep watching, keep listening. Affection, a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. And it also means the act or process of affecting or being affected. I want you to remember these definitions, because these definitions are going to serve you for what I'm going to be sharing next. Okay. The reason why I talk about this is that in the world in which we're living in, I've noticed that a lot of people live in a place of fear, right? And where we need to be living is from a place of love, in a state of love, right? If you are to thrive, not just survive, and even to survive, if you're wanting to do both, living from a state of love is a must. It's a must. It is not a luxury. It is not something that, oh, I'm going to do another time, or when the condition is right, or when I get the manifestation, or when things start going smoothly in my life. No, it is a must. Okay? It is a must. Have you heard the story of the carrot, the egg, and the tea? If you haven't, I'm going to share it with you now. So the carrot, when it's put in hot water, what happens to the carrot? It gets soft, right? The egg, when you place the egg in boiling water, what happens to the egg? It gets hard inside. The tea, the leaf of tea, when you put tea in boiling water, what happens? It starts getting delicious, right? It starts smelling flavorful, right? It has a wonderful aroma to it. The hot water represents the challenges and the hard moments of life. Okay? In life, you're not always going to be understood by those around you. You might be criticized. There's going to be rejection, right? Perhaps there are envious people who want to hurt you, quote unquote. A relationship may be deteriorating. You might go through some kind of disappointment or some kind of betrayal or a loss of some sort. All these things can be challenges, can be the boiling water, right, in our life. You decide if you will be the carrot that was hard, but once put in boiling water, it became soft, right? You either lose yourself in the process or you lose your self-esteem and your self-confidence, right? Because of that harsh moment. You stop doing what you really love, or you allow the sadness to eat you up inside and out. Because believe it or not, sadness can eat you outside as well, right? Anything that you're feeling, any emotion that you are feeling within, your body by default is going to feel it. And it will express itself. You're going to see it. The body cannot thrive in sadness. This is why when you are in profound sadness, sadness ages you. Believe it or not, it ages you. Suffering ages you if you're not careful, right? Or perhaps you let yourself go physically, either because you're eating a lot or you're not eating enough. These are just some examples of how you could become like a carrot, that all of a sudden you become very soft, right? You weaken yourself. You allow the boiling water, the challenges of life, the harsh moments of life soften you, but not in a good way. They make you weaker, is what I mean when I say soft. They weaken you. Okay, and this that I just shared are just some examples of what it's like to allow yourself to be a carrot. You decide if you're going to be like the egg that was so soft in the inside, and once in boiling water, it becomes hard, right? And the way that this looks like in everyday life is that you put up a wall. You become very defensive. You don't allow yourself to feel love, right? You generalize things. And what I mean with generalizing, putting things in specific categories is, say, for example, if you have dated several men and those several men have treated you badly, they didn't value, da, 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 da. And so an example of generalizing and putting everyone in one category in a way that it hardens you would be to say, for example, all men are jerks. All men are jerks, right? You allowed your past experiences with other men to harden you. That's one example, right? You close yourself off to opportunities. That's another example of how being like an egg, once you're put in boiling water, even looks like, okay? Or you could decide that you're going to be like the tea, right? That once you're put in boiling water, you yourself are already interesting. What started off as something interesting and flavorful, once put in boiling water, it becomes even more flavorful, even more delicious, right? The boiling water only brought out more of the beauty and potential, right? And so how this looks like in your everyday life is that you allow situations to make you wiser. They make you wiser, right? If a relationship ended, you allow the ending of that relationship to make you an even better person. not worse, but better. If someone rejects you, you learn from that rejection and you allow it to make you stronger and to allow you to keep going, right? When you allow yourself to be like the tea, that's living in a state of love. That's you living in a state of love. And that's what I'm referring to when I say love is the answer to everything, right? And how living in a state of love is a must. What I notice as human beings is that we tend to live more in a state of fear than a state of love. Okay. And living in a state of love is the work. It's the work, right? But it's a work worth doing. And when I say a state of fear, I'm not referring to feeling scared or anything like that. Actually, it has little to do with feeling scared. Okay. And I'll explain what I mean in a minute. A state of fear looks like the following. It is constantly complaining and not doing anything about it. Okay? It is you being cynical. Cynicism. That's right. Cynicism. Cynicism, what it means is being skeptical. Now, a small dose of skepticism, it's fine. We need to be skeptic at times, but the cynicism that I'm referring to is the following. And I've noticed cynicism when it comes to when someone sees someone else being very successful, right? When someone says, oh, they're probably successful because God knows how many people they had to sleep with in order to get to the top. Or, this person, da, 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 da. You don't know the real story behind them. You don't know the amount of sacrifice that they had to do, or God knows all that they had to learn, the nights that they did not sleep in order to learn something or master something or do something. Like, you don't know. And the reason why I say that cynicism puts you in it's part of you living in a state of fear is because when you're in a state of cynicism, that doesn't allow you to get the gift that you're probably meant to be getting from that person because you're exposed to that person, because you're close to that person. Does that make sense? There's something for us to learn from everyone. And when we have that level of cynicism, that blocks the good that is meant to come to us. Okay? Gossiping. Oh, gossiping, first of all, is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of saliva. And the reason why I say that it is living in a state of fear is because it's always easy to point the finger and be like, so and so, da 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 da, instead of seeing your own eye, how dirty your own eye is, right? As we say in Spanish. It's easy to see the dirt in someone else's eye than it is to see in our own eyes. And so gossiping also lowers your vibe. Right? It's not a good look on you. Criticism is also living in the place of fear. Believe it or not. Being very defensive. It's also part of living in fear. Always seeing the ugly in others. If you're the kind of person that you're always saying, oh, this is ugly. Oh, this is ugly. Oh, this is ugly. Oh, this is ugly. It's time for you to check yourself. It's time for you to check yourself. There's something there that you need to work on. You have some layers. There's things there to unpack, because that's living in a place of fear. A state of love is not like that. The state of love sees the beauty in everything. The state of love, the person knows that they can learn from everyone. Okay? Always arguing. If you always have to argue, I'm not talking about the occasional arguing that sometimes we may do with someone. I'm talking about you're constantly arguing. That's living in a place of fear. There's things there to unpack. feeling constantly angry, frustrated, sad, anxious. The key word here is constantly, right? That's the key word here. If that's how you're feeling on a consistent basis, you're living more in a state of fear, right? Now, before I explain what it's like to live in a state of love, I want to clarify that being in a state of love is not about you being naive. Okay, it's not about you being naive. It's not about you only seeing the rainbows and butterflies and the sunshine and faking your happiness and faking everything is good, or fake it till you make it. No, none of that. None of that. It is not about just only being positive. As a matter of fact, only wanting to see the positive and not seeing also the negative, not having that balance. That is not being positive. That is not true positivity, right? Ignoring the uncomfortable feelings, that is not living in a state of love. Living in a state of love isn't about you ignoring your emotions, because your emotions are to be felt, are to be experienced, are to be understood. They're there for a reason. You have those emotions for a reason. It is just information from your true essence, which is your soul. It is guidance. It is not to be ignored. And certainly, being in a state of love is not about never feeling angry or never feeling frustrated or never feeling anxious or anything like that. It is not about that. Please know that extremes are never good. Extremes are never, never good. So what is the state of love? How does this even look like? Well, it looks like the following. It looks like you choosing to see the good in things. You choosing to see the good in things. You choosing to learn the lesson. See why I say that this is the work? Because it's easier for us to be like, all this and all that and da 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 da, right? It is you allowing life to touch you, right? And that's a very vulnerable place to put yourself in. To allow life to touch you means that you are allowing all of it. You are allowing the disappointments. You are allowing the quote unquote hurt. You're allowing yourself to fall in love, even if it means that your heart may be broken. You're allowing life to touch you. And the reason why this is so important is because when you allow life to touch you, you are living, not just existing, you are living. And in that process of living, you are allowing the expansion of you. How the heck are you supposed to expand when you don't let life touch you? How the heck are you supposed to connect with others when, because you haven't allowed life to touch you, there's certain things that you have avoided yourself from experiencing? You get where I'm going with this? It's important to allow life to touch you. Remember the definition that I mentioned before about affection? It is the act or process of affecting and being affected. That's part of you allowing life to touch you. You grow in the process. Right? You grow in the process. It is you seeking your own understanding, right? This is so important. I'm going to tell you why this is important. And I said this before in a quote. You understanding yourself is the buffer that prevents you from hitting rock bottom. You understanding yourself is the buffer that prevents you from hitting rock bottom. And when I shared that quote, what I meant with that is sometimes the reason why we hit rock bottom, I mean, there's so many reasons, but a lot of it is because we don't understand ourselves. You know, we feel frustrated and we look in our lives and we're like, well, I don't see why I should be frustrated. And that lack of understanding yourself can make you hit rock bottom, because here you are ignoring what you're feeling, ignoring what's going on, prolonging the frustration even more. It's just dormant. You're looking at gratitude, you're sprinkling gratitude here, but in the meantime, it's just dormant and it's ready to roar, right? And so you seeking your own understanding is crucial. It is crucial, right? It's important. Not only that, but also seeking to understand others is part of you living in a state of love, right? You honoring your feelings, your emotions. This too is very important. This too is very important. And feeling appreciation for everything. This is part of you enjoying everything, right? Not something very easy to do. I know that because this, I'm including even the things that are not so great. And I'm going to explain what I mean with this. So, when I receive bad service, who hasn't received bad service? Now, I want to clarify, I'm not saying that I enjoy bad service. I am not saying that by any means. But when it happens, I appreciate it. I'm going to tell you why I appreciate it, because that person that just provided me a bad service, they taught me how I do not want to be. So you see how I say that you finding how you being in a state of love is the answer to everything? Because part of you living in a state of love is you looking to learn the lesson, right? And the reason why that's such a loving place to be in is because that avoids you from falling into the trap of fear, meaning frustration, angry, lashing out at the person, right? And so this is why I say that it's so important. Love is the answer to everything. Love is the answer to everything. The state of love also, it looks like the following. It looks like you appreciating every message that your body gives you. That's including the aches and pains. So I'm going to explain what I mean. So I'm going to utilize myself as an example. So back in November of last year, November 2022, I hurt my wrist. And I'm going to explain to you how I hurt it. So I was carrying a bin full of bottles of water. Now that's heavy for one arm. Point blank. It's very heavy for one arm. So can you imagine a bin full of bottles of water with this hand and the other hand, well, with this arm, better yet to say, and with this hand, I was giving out the bottles of water. Now, the whole situation went like this. So my colleague, the one that was working with me, she very intelligently, now if she sees this, she's going to know I'm talking about her. She very intelligently said, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting myself hurt. I'm not doing that. So she refused to do it. She was very smart. She was very smart because the truth is that's very, very hurtful. You already know I'm not doing that again. I'm going to refuse to do that. Anyways, what happened and how it all played out was so symbolic to the way things are in my personal life, right? And you're going to see how this is coming from a place of love and what I mean with this, right? With coming from a place of love and you appreciating the messages that your body is giving you, even the aches and pains. Sure enough, last month, January, the wrist started getting worse. So I was starting to notice that if I held the phone, you know how we hold the phone, I usually hold it with one hand and then the other I'm typing or whatnot. It was starting to bother my wrist. Typing a lot was bothering my wrist. Certain movements was bothering my wrist. So it took me wearing a brace and hold my hand still to avoid certain movements. How is that symbolic in my life? Well, in my personal life, what I wasn't realizing was a part of me was feeling the weight of carrying and doing a lot of things on my own. Hence the carrying of the bin. And I did a little bit more than half of the main cabin, that side, on my own, carrying it. So that's a lot. That's a lot, right? And if you look at what each part of the body represents spiritually, the left side of the body actually represents the feminine energy. And the hand or the wrist, this area of the body, it represents your capacity to manifest, do things, give, receive, right? So here I am symbolically, what that pain was representing also on a spiritual level, I'm carrying a lot. I don't know how to move forward. The whole receiving, I'm giving too much, but where's the receiving? So you see where I'm going with this. The more you keep ignoring your inner needs and the inner pokings, right? You may not notice it at first, the wear and tear that that's creating on a spiritual level, but also on a physical level, on a mental level, on an emotional level. And what you either are not willing to admit, or you're not seeing, or you're not expressing, your body will then express it. Do you hear the power and value with what I just said? What you don't have either the capacity to express, or you're not seeing, or you're not admitting to yourself, your body is then going to express it for you. And these wear and tears that we see, not just in our physical body, we may not see that it's occurring in our everyday life and within us, in our own inner world. When you start looking, when you allow yourself to start looking at life this way, when you start looking and feeling life from this perspective, from this state of love, because trust, when I tell you this wrist, it made me look at a lot of things differently, and it made me change certain things too, okay? This is going to change your life and yourself. This is going to change you in very profound ways, okay? You will notice that you're going to start healing faster because you're going to start paying attention to things a whole lot more, right? You are going to make good or better decisions. You're going to be able to preserve your energy more. A lot of times, the reason why we have energy leaks is because we're living in a state of fear, right? If you're living in a state of fear, the gossiping, the criticizing, the cynicism, the things that I mentioned earlier, that if you may not realize the wear and tear that that's creating within you, but it's there. But it's there until one good day, boom, this starts to happen and this other thing starts to happen and that. And you're like, but why does bad thing happen to me? No, step back, analyze, try to see the role that you played in that. Try to see what happened before that could have prevented you from experiencing that. Do you get where I'm going with this? Also, living from a state of love allows you to see the truth. It's very easy to fall into the trap of fear, the fear trap, as I like to call it. It's very easy to fall into the fear trap. And again, the fear trap that I'm referring to, the fear that I'm referring to is not the feeling scared, okay? And I'm going to share this as an example so that it can hit home what I mean with this. The whole thing about when you live in a state of love, that state of love is going to allow you to see the truth. Say, for example, for those of you that are in business, right? Because business is like a great example. As my mentor likes to say, I mean, it's the biggest personal development ever, starting your own business, because you literally have to develop yourself into the person that requires to have a certain amount of success. If you are noticing that you're working your business and you're doing this, you're doing that, something isn't clicking, this isn't clicking, da 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 da, or being visible is a challenge, whatever, it's easy to fall into the trap of fear and think, well, perhaps business is not for me. Perhaps I don't have what is required. Perhaps something is wrong with me, or perhaps I have to da 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 da. Right? You go off and you start derailing yourself. When you're living from a place of love, in a state of love, rather than allowing that to derail you from your vision, from your dream. By the way, if you are starting a business just strictly just for the money, you want to make quick money, you have no business starting a business. And that's because business takes time to create, right? It takes you developing yourself into a certain person for you to become a business owner, right? So it's you have to have a bigger vision, because there's going to be moments that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, should I continue? Should I not? Blah, blah, blah. So you got to have a very strong why, a very strong vision. But anyways, when you're living from a state of love, in a state of love, you look at those challenges with curiosity. So rather than it making you feel like, oh, perhaps business is not for me, I'm not meant to do this, I'm not meant to do that, you start getting curious. Okay, so what else am I meant to be learning? What am I ignoring? What needs to develop within me in order for me to make this work? What do I need to work on that perhaps I've been ignoring? Like, those are the kind of questions that you start asking yourself. That's the mentality that you find yourself in, and not one of defeat. Do you see where I'm going with this? And this applies not just in business, this is anything. This is anything that you're wanting to do. This is why you living in a state of love is so important. It is so important. It is so important, right? Because it avoids you falling into the fear trap. It allows for you to learn so that you can continue growing, right? It allows you to have faith. Faith is very different from hope, by the way, because behind hope, there is doubt. Think about it. If you are saying, well, I hope this works out, and I hope this, and I hope that, what are you really saying? Deep down, what you're saying is that a part of you doesn't believe that that can happen. Whereas faith, behind faith, there is certainty, there is belief that doesn't require seeing. And that is what is needed in order for you to manifest, in order for you to create the miracles in your life. This is why this is so important. Living in a state of love is what allows you to preserve your energy. It allows you to live with gratitude. It allows you to become a magnet for your good. It allows you to become a magnet for your good. Love is truly a superpower. It is your superpower, believe it or not. It adds to your health. This is why this is so important. And if you getting to a state of love is a challenge for you, this is an indicator that inner work is needed. Personal development is needed. Please do not let people fool you into thinking that you don't need to be doing inner work. Inner work is valuable, no matter what area of your life you're trying to transform. Inner work is the key. I can promise you, I can guarantee you that inner work is the key. Because let me tell you this, I can tell you also from personal experience, you could work your way to believing. But if deep down there is some gunk, there's some stuff that is preventing the belief to really go through, there is no amount of affirmation. There is no amount of, oh, let me meditate. There's no amount of nothing. If you have gunk that needs to be removed out of you to transform your life, there's no way. When you notice the affirmations aren't working, the meditations aren't working, that books aren't working, you finding your way. My whole decade of my 20s, I spent to looking, just reading books. Just what I needed was that one-on-one work with someone. That's what I really needed. That's what really transformed my life. Now, all the books that I read, they start to sink in on a whole new different level. But why? Because I did the biggest work of working with someone and really digging deep and really removing the gunk. Right? And so The people that skip the inner work, these are the same people that a year passes by, 2 years passes by, and they're still in the same situation that they were before. Guaranteed. 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 Yes, I dare to say it with such certainty. The people that you see that they are so successful financially, whatever, I'm telling you, they've done inner work. They've done inner work. They've worked on their confidence levels. They see themselves clearly. They've done the work. They've done the work. Do not let anyone fool you of the contrary. So if you are ready to do this level of work, to really transform those blocks into steps up towards the life that you're seeking, you're wanting to transform your life, gain the clarity that you need, improve your relationship with yourself, raise your level of consciousness, and become a magnet of the very things that you want, I'm going to highly recommend that you schedule a clarity call with me. All right? Schedule that clarity call with me, because in that call, we're going to go over where you are now, where you would like to be, what is needed to close that gap, and how I'm able to help you. It's time to stop the spinning. It's time to stop the confusion. It's time. But only you get to decide that. Only you get to decide that. Okay? And share this video with those that you know. You never know who needs to listen to this message. You just never know. So share this with those that you know. Share this in your social media. And with that said, it is my desire. It is my desire that you allow this message to sink in, right? Because truly, the answer to everything in your life is love. But the love that I'm referring to is living in a state of love, right? Because this is going to allow for more in your life. This is going to allow you to think differently, to feel differently, to experience differently, to respond to things in your highest level and highest self. It's going to allow you to have more faith. It's going to allow you to see the truth and not the lies of reality, right? So it's my sincere desire that you allow this to truly sink in. And with this said, it is my desire that you live life to the max the way you are destined to live. And until next time, bye for now.